Hi guys, and welcome back to another Starcraft Remastered replaycast. As once again we have a great engagement from the international pro scene. We have spawned here in the upper right, in the blue. It is ARTOSIS, a very known streamer on this scene and also a very known YouTuber, doing a lot for the Starcraft community. Currently I believe he's living in the United States or Canada. I think he moved from Korea, but I'm not sure if he's in Canada right now or in America. I believe it's America, but I could be wrong. Now his opponent spawning here in the lower left. The probability is HSE, but I said I don't have that much info about him. We see him however move out with a very early drone here in the middle of the map. This is a 4 spawning location map, so it looks like he's going for a cheesy gameplay here, as we also have a exploding bird here into this region. So let's see what the plans from the Protoss is. It's going to be very likely a rush with some zealots. He has to scout however the map, so I'm pretty sure it is a 4 spawning location map. We see a nice supply depot here for ARTOSIS, giving him protection in case he's making some marines in order to micro them in between the command center and the supply depot. There we have the gateway. Work-wise pretty much the same for both of them. So it's going to be one gateway, either 2 gateways, so it looks like ARTOSIS is indeed going to get rushed by this Protoss. So yeah, or he just had this probe here in order to build another gateway. That was his plan, and luckily for him he's moving straight into the right direction, into the upper right part. So it's going to be straight zealots here heading towards the Terran. A very strong rush here from the Protoss, very deadly against the Terran, even against the Zerg. And let's see how ARTOSIS is going to handle this situation here, as he's very soon going to be seeing some zealots. There is the first zealot getting produced. We also see gas being taken by ARTOSIS as the probe is still roaming around here on the map. Sadly for ARTOSIS, is scouting in the wrong direction. And yeah, the second zealot is also getting produced. You can see of course the production tab here in the upper left part, as we see another supply depot. So I believe ARTOSIS thinks that something is coming towards his way. The SCV already taking some damage. First zealot is on his way towards the base, and one marine is now out. But yeah, many more marines are needed. There's yet another, oh, it's a factory actually here for ARTOSIS. Let's see how is he going to deal with this. The pylon is also nicely getting placed here to be annoying as much as he can versus the Terran, and the first zealot indeed arrives now here. One SCV already under threat, might get taken out, but a great micro here for ARTOSIS. The pylon also taking some damage. Good micro here with this marine by ARTOSIS. Notice how he's using those supply depots for cover for this one marine, but the second zealot is now in. More damage is being taken here. The pylon is about to get fallen, and one marine also getting nicely microed here once again by ARTOSIS. Third zealot is now, and more is getting thrown out. You can see it on the minimap. More and more zealots are now moving towards the point from ARTOSIS. One SCV has fallen. Marine is really low, getting nicely microed. One zealot is also very low, but we already have 4 zealots for the Protoss, and sadly for ARTOSIS, his factory not going to get finished here. Yeah, more damage is being taken. One zealot has fallen. The second one looks also like it's going to fall very soon. Third one also taking some damage, but it's still 3 zealots. And yeah, very chaotic scene here for ARTOSIS. Really hard to out micro those zealots. Luckily for him, he has those buildings, and yeah, more damage sadly here is taken by those SCVs. The SCVs actually have to fight now for their lives, and yeah, more of those SCVs sadly are fallen. 7 SCVs only here for ARTOSIS, 6 now for him. More are falling, so the economy is really suffering here for ARTOSIS. He's at 4 SCVs versus the 11 probes, but in the end he should be able to hold this now, as a vulture is now finally coming out on the map. Yeah, more is getting thrown out finally. The Protoss seems to be giving up as he saw that vulture. Of course the vulture very good in microing versus those zealots. He's much faster. You can see ARTOSIS is actually demonstrating this, and he's also feeling confident to move out. He might try to rush with a bunker versus the Protoss, but yeah, it's still, those marines are really low. Luckily he has a vulture. He is producing another vulture, and with that he should be able to hold, but he needs to be careful not to take any damage. So great micro here by ARTOSIS. Nice early rush here for him for the Protoss. Sadly for ARTOSIS, he did lose the one vulture, and there's the second one here. He is now at 6 SCVs from the 4, and you know, losing yet another SCV. So a good hold, very hard game, very hard early game here for ARTOSIS, but in the end does hold the other two gateways. I believe the Protoss is now going to play it a little bit more defensively. We've seen here an attempt to hit a barracks. I totally missed this one, so could have been a barracks or a bunker by ARTOSIS, but in the end with 4 SCVs at your home base you can't really produce, you have to defend as much as you can, as now he's now moving out. And we also have a cannon, actually 2 cannons here, so all of a sudden the Protoss decides to play it very defensively, even though he has 2 zealots here in the front. Yeah, but the vulture is going to be able to deal damage towards them. So a good hold by ARTOSIS, and the Protoss with a very aggressive gameplay in the end being thrown out, and the vulture is nicely getting microed here by ARTOSIS. So ARTOSIS shows us that the vulture is indeed a great counter towards the zealots, and this is exactly why the Protoss has decided here to go for some zealots. Yeah, slowly but steadily one zealot after the other is getting killed. Nice micro here by ARTOSIS, already having 3 kills onto this one vulture, but there are cannons now. He will just leave this vulture into hold position and deal more and more damage towards the gas, towards the probes, as actually more and more of those vultures are heading out. So this could be very strong versus the Protoss. All of a sudden the Protoss is the one in danger. His cannon is about to get finished, but ARTOSIS could just hold those vultures into this position and not allow the Protoss to expand. He's actually deciding to even kill this one pylon, so all of a sudden things have changed dramatically here, as ARTOSIS now with only 13 workers but having much more control of this game, much more control of the map. And I believe only Dragoons could be a saving grace here for the Protoss, but he doesn't have a powered gateway. There's the first Dragoon, actually 2 Dragoons now being moved out. Dragoons being the counter, of course. 2 vultures. Luckily for the Protoss, the 2 Dragoons have been finished on time, and ARTOSIS has to retreat a little bit, even though he has 3 vultures. They are hurt, they did take some damage out of those Dragoons. And yeah, now ARTOSIS on the high ground, having control into this position. The Protoss pretty much rebuilding his units, his gateways. And yeah, we have a small stalemate now as we do approach the 10-minute mark. So very aggressive early game, good hold in the end by ARTOSIS, almost getting killed, but the build order here, the SimCity into his main, has pretty much saved him. This gap in between the supply depots and in between the barracks has pretty much saved him from an early loss. So let's see what's going to happen. The upgrade for the Dragoons is about to get finished for the Protoss, and there's actually many units here for the Terran. They have been repaired, so ARTOSIS could move out. He might even kill a Dragoon or 2, even adding some mines. Let's have a look at the HP bar. More and more damage is being taken. Some mines have been let out. Of course, the Protoss has no observer, so ARTOSIS is making sure that he is going to defend his expansion point. Very smart move by him. At the same time, he's also having one vulture here, but yeah, the Protoss having now his own Dragoons. I'm pretty sure he's also going to decide to expand very soon into his own natural. So we're closing towards the 10-minute mark. Really interesting early game, but both players now deciding, playing a little bit safe to prepare their macro game to add more and more of those expansions. And very likely the Terran ARTOSIS here is going to go into many more factories. The Protoss will very likely stay into gateways with Zealots and Dragoons. Arbiters could be an option, carriers could be an option for him. Are we going to be seeing some battle cruisers from ARTOSIS? It will be very interesting to see. The first tanks are out, and yeah, we have indeed the small stalemate that is continuing. The Terran pretty much in control of the map, adding more and more of those mines on the map, checking of course the other expansion points, leaving mines here into those expansions. Very smart move by ARTOSIS. And yeah, the Protoss just having those 2 Dragoons here into this location just to see if there is an army move out here by ARTOSIS. We also see an observatory. There's the first observer. We might see some shuttle gameplay here by the Protoss. As yeah, more and more dragoons are getting produced. Another observer. We have turrets now being produced for ARTOSIS, given the fact that there would be Dark Templar as well, Invisible Templars versus the Terran. Floating engineering bay. We see more and more workers now for ARTOSIS. Yes, nicely recovered from 4 SCVs now to 28. And there's the expansion for the Protoss. And a very aggressive macro game here by the Protoss. He's even trying to expand here, but luckily ARTOSIS does have this one mine, so he's avoiding the expansion. But yeah, very aggressive move out here by the Protoss. In the end, ARTOSIS being present with his vulture, able to snipe this one, tries to see if there's an expansion. I believe he will also add a com set into his command center just to see what's going to happen. He might even try to build a command center here and float it into this location just to have more and more of those expansions. So no major attack yet. Both players at pretty much 50 supply. Both players playing now all of a sudden very defensively, especially the Terran, of course, with those siege tanks giving good cover for his expansions. And we see the Protoss taking his third base, also having those 2 gateways. He might send out a probe into this location to build a pylon to send more and more of those waves of zealots and dragoons towards ARTOSIS. We see a shuttle getting produced, so we might see a dropship harassment, but there are turrets here for the Terran. And yeah, just ARTOSIS just keeps on sending out those scouts just to see how many bases the Protoss has. But he needs to be careful about this base here. The Protoss just keeps on expanding, and it's going to be really hard for him if he keeps on turtling up. He might even add a starport just to do some dropship harassment with his vultures, with a tank. It could be a possibility, especially this ledge right here, this place right here is pretty much vulnerable. He might empower many units, many buildings with killing this pylon and the second pylon here as well, so he could then just go for attacking those probes. It would be really strong in the end. Let's have a look at his main. He has many factories getting produced here, and yeah, just plays it now all of a sudden very defensively, very cautiously, as the Protoss is taking more and more of the advantage of this defensive gameplay and just keeps on adding more and more of those dragoons moving out. And yeah, very defensive gameplay here by ARTOSIS, adding more and more of those supply depots. Even some upgrades will start now, very likely for the mechanical units, for the tanks and so on. Let's have a look at the upgrades. Still 0-0 and also 0-0 for the Terran. This will change, of course. Legs is being upgraded. We even have a Dark Templar being produced, but there should be vision for ARTOSIS. And yeah, a stalemate is still continuing here for both players. There is the Dark Templar. Worker-wise, the Protoss should have had more workers, but still ARTOSIS with 46, and he's still staying at a 2-base strategy versus the Protoss, but more and more is getting added. You can see how slowly but steadily the Protoss is more and more moving out of his base, creating a beeline here onto the ledge. And we actually see a Reaver move out. Reaver with no zealots, but hold on, he actually might produce some units from this location if a probe would finally build a pylon in here. So we see a Reaver shuttle gameplay here by the Protoss. Where exactly can he attack? ARTOSIS does have good defenses with turrets being nicely placed all over the bases, and at the same time scouting for the Protoss for some of those expansions from the Terran. There are no such thing here, as the stalemate pretty much continues here. ARTOSIS is still on the defense. The Protoss, of course, being scared of those mines, not deciding yet to move out, just pretty much on hold position. Maybe he's waiting for those upgrades. He's also waiting for the Psionic Storm to get finished. We see the upgrades kicking in now for the mech units. And yeah, it's still a waiting game for both players. What started like a very strong attack move by the Protoss, a very aggressive early move, it has now turned into a macro game, as ARTOSIS is now adding this one expansion. It's going to upload it very soon into this location. And yeah, let's see how things will unfold, how things they will continue. Of course, the Protoss deciding to take yet another expansion into this point, even having the shuttle here with the Reaver Finally, ARTOSIS realizes this, but it is of course too late, as the Protoss is very likely going to take his 6 o'clock position. So yeah, ARTOSIS of course reacting with his own expansion, and he might try to move out. He has a good supply of 100. Those tanks can be really strong versus the Dragoons, but they need to be of course backed up with vultures, and there are vultures in the front. Actually, ARTOSIS is deciding to move out to just defend his next expansion. At the same time, the Protoss might try to move out. He has so many zealots here on the ground, Dragoons in the back, so this could be very strong into attacking, especially into luring those mines into the tanks. This is exactly why the siege tanks have been nicely spreaded here by ARTOSIS, but it looks like the Protoss is pretty much going to commit here. The Dragoons are in the front. Zealots should of course follow up. There are the Zealots going straight in the front here, soaking up the damage from all of those tanks. Splash damage being turned out left and right. Vultures are holding their position, even though Goliath is shooting, and yeah, more and more is getting killed here. 4 both players, actually both players taking lots and lots of damage, but still 2 tanks are pretty much alive. However, 2 zealots in the back also dealing damage, so I believe the Protoss came out here as a victor. Sadly for ARTOSIS, he's losing this one expansion point. His reinforcements should be here very soon. Of course, the tanks will give good cover from the back, but yeah, in the end, I believe the Protoss has won the battle here. However, he also lost quite a large amount of his supply, but he will of course be able with that 3rd expansion to afford all of those losses. Sadly for ARTOSIS, his expansion is still floating here, so not producing any minerals yet for him, as the observer is also taking also slowly but steadily. Once again, ARTOSIS is going to try to take this expansion point here into this location. The Protoss will very likely rely onto his expansions into kicking more and more of those minerals in, just that he can produce more and more of those zealots. However, ARTOSIS is very smartly adding those mines here in the middle of the map, so the reinforcements will take damage, and there is no observer yet here, so the zealot will be sacrificed. At the same time, more and more of those mines are being laid out here by ARTOSIS, so this is why the Protoss has to wait for his observer as he's now moving out. But at the same time, a huge move out now here by ARTOSIS. Finally, he knows he has to secure the base, as the vultures will be able to take care of all of those Dragoons. Reinforcements are here, but he needs to retreat. The main reinforcing army is here into this location, and High Templars with double Psionic Storm, very strong versus the Terran, as he's now moving out with his shuttle. Let's see where exactly he's going to attack. He's looking like this would be a good position, but there's 2 turrets here, so he needs to be careful. No speed has been done yet here for the shuttle. Stasis field, actually we're going to be seeing some arbiters. Let's see what the Protoss is deciding to attack. This would also be hard to attack, as there are more and more of those turrets being produced here, but not that many minerals being left here, so he's still roaming around with his shuttle. ARTOSIS on the defense once again, securing his base here, having more workers than the Protoss, but this could change very quickly, as there is a shuttle with 4, I believe, yes indeed, 4 High Templars into this location. 2 turrets here, perhaps a 3rd one would be good. Looks like the Protoss is pretty much going to commit here as he's moving forward with his shuttle. It's going to take some damage. No, he's actually retreating immediately, so yeah, the 2 turrets give good cover, and we even have a Wraith here in the air, so the shuttle on the hunt now. Actually, the Wraith on the hunt, so the shuttle without speed needs to hurry up here. Recall is being researched. Sadly, the shuttle is going to fall here. Finally, we see one good High Templar storm, but the rest of the High Templars have been killed, so a great victory here for ARTOSIS, as he's able to kill the shuttle with the 4 High Templars. 4 High Templars would have been really deadly against all of those vultures with Psionic Storm. So a good small victory here for ARTOSIS, as he's able to take down that shuttle. But is he going to be able to hold for the macro game here for the Protoss? The Protoss having all of those bases. Finally he realizes that some probes are on idle here, and yeah, he's just producing more and more of those units. Perhaps a rally point in the middle of the map would have been better for all of those units, but yeah, it's really hard to attack straightforward into so many mines. Let's just check once again the upgrades. We see 0 to 2 good upgrades here for ARTOSIS, the Dragoons having 1 weapons upgrade, as we see more and more of the upgrades being done here for the Protoss. The Protoss going for those Arbiter upgrades. We are going to be seeing very likely some recalls, and I believe ARTOSIS is very likely going to need a science vessel to have vision against the arbiters, and yeah, it looks like ARTOSIS is just going to spread so many mines here, trying to lure those zealots into those mines. A very smart gameplay here by him. Yeah, killing some zealots, dealing some great damage. Vultures left and right, mines all over the place, but it looks like vultures also taking damage, so interesting move by ARTOSIS, but in the end he has to of course retreat. There's so many dragoons on the ground, and once again this has turned out into a stalemate. We might see another expansion being taken here by ARTOSIS as his units are moving out, so very strategic gameplay here by ARTOSIS. The same can be said here for the Protoss, as he's also adding yet another expansion, and I believe this expansion here could also be taken, so let's see whose macro game is going to be better here, ARTOSIS or H's macro game. If H takes this expansion here unpunished, it could be very deadly, as he could be sending out wave after wave of zealots. And let's not forget that arbiters are getting also produced. We can see all of those upgrades now start to kick in here for the Protoss as he's regrouping in the center of the map. We might try to take out this expansion very soon. Or is ARTOSIS also deciding to take the 12 o'clock? So both players very strong, macro oriented, and we have the arbiter finally here. Perhaps the second arbiter is also going to get added here by the Protoss, and we see a science facility here for the Terran. We might see some EMP shockwave, very good versus the arbiter and versus the dragoons. Yeah, the Protoss tries of course to clear as many mines as possible, but he's taking damage out of the tanks, so he needs to be careful. Yeah, pretty much maxed out Protoss versus very soon to be maxed out Terran, but yeah, the Terran has some units spread out all over the map, so the Protoss just tries to find a better position here into attacking. A recall would be a very interesting idea, heading straight perhaps into the newly established bases from the Terran. ARTOSIS having so many vultures, the tanks are behind to defend. Checking once again the upgrades, plating has been done, and soon armor will also be done here for the Protoss, and weapons too upgrades. So yeah, very interesting game here by both players. Quite nice game. Many cannons here into this location, but of course they will be taken out by tanks if there is an attack, and it looks like the Protoss is deciding to attack here into this perhaps softly defenses by ARTOSIS as he's moving now forward with his zealots. Lots and lots of zealots are in the back, so a little bit of a bad move here by the Protoss, but there's dragoons, there is science vessels, there tanks are nicely spread out. More and more damage is being taken, so some units actually move here forward with a stasis field. Lots and lots of damage is being taken here left and right, but the idea from the Protoss is of course to damage these units here, these SCVs, but in the end there is scan available, so a great hold here by ARTOSIS. You can see at the supply so much is getting lost here by the Protoss. Yeah, but I believe the Protoss is able to recover. He has so many bases. He really wants to of course kill as many SCVs as possible. Perhaps some dropship harassment would have been great with some high temperature stones into this location, or perhaps a recall somewhere into this location. Yeah, once again things have settled down. Both economies are really strong for both players. It's still anyone's game. Lots and lots of mines on the ground as the Protoss once again decides to move out with his units. Armor is about to get finished. Where is he going to attack next? There's two arbiters now on the field, so a recall would be very interesting to see into this location, but there's so many turrets here for ARTOSIS. What is going to be the decision here for the Protoss? This unit is also nicely getting defended by turrets. Where exactly is he going to be going? He has to avoid of course all of those mines on the ground. Very hard to attack versus a Terran, so only a recall with those arbiters will be in handy. Is he perhaps going to go for some carriers? Could be also an option here for the Protoss, as we're slowly but steadily closing towards the 13-minute mark. A very interesting game we have here so far, and the Protoss decides indeed to go for this location. More and more turrets are getting produced here for the Terran, so ARTOSIS is pretty much inviting here the Protoss to attack. A little bit of a miss macro here by the Protoss, having those arbiters in the front taking quite some damage, so he needs to be more careful about that. He tried a good stasis field, but the tanks are nicely spread, and now the units might get intercepted very soon by the Terran, as more of those mines are getting cleared. More and more upgrades for both players. Yeah, the Terran has nicely spread those tanks. ARTOSIS is doing a good job here. And let's see, let's look at the worker counts. More workers here for ARTOSIS versus his opponent, even though the Protoss is once again establishing a base here, having good control of the map, having many dragoons and zealots for him, and those high templars will also be very important. Actually only one high templar, as once again servers are getting sent out to find those mines on the ground. Yeah, still anyone's game, like I told you. Is the Protoss going to commit once again? The targets, of course, of the Protoss, but hold on, we might see a good engagement here. The Zealots are in the front, exactly where they should be. The tanks are nicely sieged up, they're pretty much clumped up together, so some EMP, some high tempo storms actually would be really great. Defensive matrix now onto this one thing, very nicely done here by ARTOSIS. The mines, however, getting some good connections, both players taking heavy casualties, good storms once again. Another great storm here for the Protoss. Defensive matrix once again for him. The reinforcements are exactly on time here for the Protoss as he's moving forward with his zealots. Stasis trap now even being used. Good job here, and EMP shockwave also being used here for ARTOSIS. So lots and lots of damage. You can see it on the supply. Both players taking heavy casualties here. The Protoss pretty much deciding to commit here, moving forward, and all of a sudden the expansion is pretty much exposed here. As of course ARTOSIS has some units here into this location, so the Protoss does realize this. Yet the reinforcements should pour in. However, damage has already been taken here by this one command center. And yeah, reinforcements also pouring in left and right. Great storm once again by the Protoss. He finally realizes how important the psionic storm is versus the Terran, as he's being able to deal more and more of that damage versus the mechanical units here for the Terran. So yeah, good stuff here by the Protoss in the end, taking heavy casualties, but his economy is of course allowing him to recover this expansion, not mining one arbiter, getting lost. So yeah, the expansion from ARTOSIS did lose some SCVs, did lose some mining time, as we see the next wave getting prepared here for the Protoss. And we also see the arbiter. Is there going to be a recall? We're about to find out. This could be a good connection or a recall, or where exactly is he going? Perhaps he's going for the production buildings into this location. There's not that much energy being left here onto this one arbiter, but yeah, there's that recall. The arbiter will of course fall. Not that many mines have been laid here, and the vultures will pretty much stand no chance, but there are some tanks in the back. So a good move here by the Protoss, but I believe he needs to kill as many SCVs as possible. However, yeah, he is taking quite some great damage here out of the tanks, out of the vultures. Again, this is going to get clear, but what a mine connection here versus all of those vultures and dragoons, and finally things have settled down. But hold on, still one dragoon is being left alive, so the SCV might have to fight this one away. At the same time, we see another move out here by the Protoss, so now wave after wave is getting sent out as the Protoss finally realizes that there are no defenses here for the Protoss, for the Terran, sorry, as in come the zealots, and there needs to be something moved out. Sadly for ARTOSIS, he has to of course leave some tanks into the other expansion points around here, but so many tanks getting spread out. He needs something to be done here. Sadly for him, the SCVs have been transferred into a new location, so all of the minerals being invested here into those turrets will now pretty much be lost, as the SCVs have to repair the tanks. They have to mine into this location. And yeah, the Protoss pretty much destroying everything he has. Let's check the upgrades once again. 3 to 2 for in good upgrades for the Protoss, 1 to 3 for ARTOSIS, as ARTOSIS now finally deciding to move out with a small group of tanks, attacking of course the next expansion points here for the Protoss. So of course the best defense is of course the attack, as ARTOSIS is dealing massive amounts of splash damage with those tanks. Protoss reacting very quickly, moving out now to the other expansion points. So both players deciding to deal damage towards their economy. ARTOSIS will of course have to hold this location. Is the Protoss going to commit here forward with his units? This expansion is going to fall very soon, and the next expansion point here as well. Looks like the Protoss is pretty much going to commit here forward. The siege tanks are sadly not sieged up. He's just using them as a shield forward and now just microing them nicely back. Good job here by ARTOSIS, but there's so many dragoons still being left alive here for the Protoss, as more and more damage is being taken. I believe the Protoss will very likely take this position. Still so many dragoons. Sadly here for ARTOSIS, his dragoons, his tanks weren't sieged up, and yeah, the Protoss will eventually take this, as the dragoons are nicely spread. SCVs have to be microed back. SCVs also repairing the tanks, but yeah, in the end I believe ARTOSIS is going to hold. However, at what cost? Once again, mining time has been lost. SCVs have fallen, and reinforcements actually pulling in for the Protoss. So the Protoss might have enough here. SCVs are in the front dealing damage, having to fight, but in the end the reinforcements are nicely being brought here forward by the Protoss. So a good situation all of a sudden for the Protoss. The expansion is being taken out here, but ARTOSIS has to be now careful as his main production buildings could be under attack very soon by the Protoss. So yeah, we have passed the 30-minute mark. Very interesting game indeed we have here in between the two pros. Still anyone's game now. Perhaps a smaller advantage here for the Protoss as he's made his way towards the production buildings, but yeah, in the end this will be held as there's still tanks on the high ground holding the position here. However, the reinforcements are pouring forward. The expansion is about to fall. One Goliath here is also being taken out very soon. What's ARTOSIS' reaction? He's just moving up with a small tank into this location. His reinforcements are nicely being placed here, but a great mine connection once again here by the Protoss, nicely luring this one mine, dealing massive amounts of splash damage towards those tanks. A very, very nice move, and it looks like all of a sudden the Protoss having a great advantage here versus ARTOSIS, even having 4 more workers and now even attacking the production buildings from the Terran. Yeah, ARTOSIS is in great danger. Only one tank here dealing some damage, but yeah, he very likely needs to offload those factories very soon. But remember, the Protoss also only mining from this location here, while this location could be landed, but there is a Zealot there. So let's have a look who is going to be the victor of this game. The Protoss pretty much in command here, pretty much here attacking more and more of those production buildings, more and more of those factories by the Terran, by ARTOSIS. I don't see any other army move out. We see some tanks on the low ground. All of a sudden those tanks can be very deadly versus all of the units from the Protoss. And he has to stay, of course, here with his units. He has to deal more and more damage. One factory is about to burn down, and apparently ARTOSIS saying that he had indeed only 4 SCVs at the beginning of the game. And yeah, apparently he thinks that his opponent is not so good as him, and also using a bad word here, so sorry about this one. Yeah, what in the end he has lower numbers here of SCVs as more and more connections are getting applied here with this one mine. Still the Protoss is moving forward. Lots and lots of splash damage being taken by those Zealots, so lots and lots of that investment has dropped here for the Protoss. Still some vultures on the high ground. They will hold the position. I don't see a observer here, so these mines will deal great amounts of splash damage. So a very nice defensive gameplay here by the Terran. Very, very hard for the Protoss to move you forward without any observer taking so much damage. And this one tank still shooting around here at the only expansion that is mining here for ARTOSIS. So let's have a look how things will unfold. What exactly is getting produced? Some Goliaths are actually getting produced and a science vessel. So the economy from the Terran still looking strong. He's still mining from here. He might try to clear this one Zealot, and we'll try to mine more. We actually have a great EMP shockwave now against all of those units. Very good to have the science vessel versus the Protoss, but he needs to be careful with this one science vessel. We see some Archons now even joining the fight, but yeah, the ramp should be able to hold so many mines on the ground. And we actually see a interesting move out here by the Protoss. It kind of looked like he suicided those arbiters. He saw now that there is a base here, still mining strongly here for the Terran, as this one tank should be able to move here forward. The probes aren't on the attack move. They have to fight for their lives here, but so many mines on the background. And ARTOSIS nicely microing this one tank. This could be a winning move, actually. Could be a game changer, but there are the reinforcements pulling forward. There is an observer here, a second observer here as well. And the tank has to hurry up, but there are some cannons in the back. So the tank, the hero tank here with 15 kills already, is about to get killed. Or is it a great micro here and he's even sieging up? But yeah, the probes will take care of that. So yeah, let's have a look. Some vultures are now moving forward into the base from the Protoss. This is still being held. The expansion is getting repaired, so he might try to land this one here. So the vultures find the other expansion here for the Protoss, but this one Zealot should be taken out very fast by the Terran, and we still see lots and lots of Dragoons and even 2 Archons here on the ground. This base of course has to be taken out, but the Protoss is very likely going to secure it with his Dragoons, with his Archons. It's a newly established base, so a very important base here for the Protoss, as he should be able to hold this one very soon. At the same time, he is moving out into the other location, so quite an interesting game we have here. Yes, slowly but steadily the Protoss now taking more and more of an advantage here. However, there is still a strong army here for the Terran. ARTOSIS having so many tanks on the ground. Let's see, a great EMP, and all of those Archons are really low now. So some tank shots will deal massive amounts of damage towards them, and ARTOSIS with a great EMP. All of those units here for the Protoss taking massive amounts of splash damage out of the EMP shockwave, and ARTOSIS is going to very likely either secure this expansion here or move out and decide to kill. He even killed an Archon here with only a Vulture, so EMP shockwave showing his strength. One observer is getting taken out, and this will be very likely the next target for ARTOSIS, as he's now being able to secure his expansion. This expansion being mined out, he has to of course move all of those SCVs, and he could even unsiege all of those tanks, so it would be even a more massive amount of an army here. He can unsiege, he can take this Goliath with him and just regroup here into this attacking point, and he might even take out this expansion. And it looks like from the supply that ARTOSIS might have done it here, but this expansion is still producing here for the Protoss, and I believe the Protoss realizes this, as ARTOSIS was ready to unsiege. He was ready to move out. He even had, like I told you, 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks here and 1 Goliath. Even some SCVs could have been pulled to do a straight on attack into this location. So what a insane game here we had. Great start, very aggressive start, and in the end ARTOSIS was able to take this game. Let's check the stats once again really quick. But a great comeback here by ARTOSIS versus H. Really nicely done by him. With only 4 SCVs, he came back, he played a nice defensive gameplay, and in the end the tanks and the Vultures won him this game. So what a insane game. And let's not forget about EMP shockwave, always a nice strategy to have versus the Protoss. We've seen how good he can be in the end game, especially against those Archons. Yeah, really nice stuff. Sadly the arbiter gameplay here, only 1 recall here for the Protoss. Perhaps many more recalls would have been better into the production buildings for the Terran, but yeah, still a very nice game, a very long game as you can see from the timer. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. This is Tommy signing out.